Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DNAVerse podcast. This is a space where we promote conversations about decentralized science, and we find interesting people to discuss topics and interesting use cases in the Web3 and the metaverse ecosystem. Our guest today is Daniela C. Merlano. She's a positive psychologist and coach. How are you doing, Daniela?
Hi, Neil. Thank you so much for inviting me into this podcast. I really appreciate it.
The pleasure is all ours. Tell us a bit about yourself. How did you start in this Web3 world and the metaverse?
My journey has been a little bit of luck and tons of purpose. So I arrived in London 8 months ago to do my master's in positive psychology and coaching. And due that I wanted to stay here, I started looking for a job, and then I found NFTs in Web3 space. Right now, mainly working with MetaMoms. I support another project, which is Good Cactus Friends, and developing my own with Ellie, which is Conspicuous. And I'm all about purpose, community within the purpose, and making people feel they belong, awareness. And there is where I started talking a lot about mental health awareness and women-led advocacy to try to close the gap. But still, I've just been 2 months in the space, so there's everything to learn.
And you mentioned Ellie there with her on Conspicuous, or is it another project?
Yeah, we're both Conspicuous co-founders.
That's great. Tell me a bit about the Alpha Girls Club, the MetaMoms, and why do you think the well-being driven communities like this are gaining traction?
Okay, so as I understand, Alpha Girl Club is focusing tons around the well-being, and Ellie is working with them around this topic, and they are around education. They want to bring more people on board through education, through the NFTs project. But part of their values within the project is mental health. So more than, and also Good Cactus Friends, that's also why I work with them. So the main important thing here is, even if all of this fuzz, as you call it, is around technology and new ways of interacting with each other within the metaverse, and how to connect and get transactions around that new space, the real thing is for me that we are all humans. We're all people behind those VR goggles or the computer or wherever that we have access to this information and new interactions. And that's why I care so much about supporting and build communities for other projects and build our own conspicuous community around purpose and around understanding and welcoming that it's about people, that people comes first. And that is where we're going to stay here, and how we are going to really build for the long run of all of this technology development.
Absolutely. And I think connecting people, it's one of the really interesting use cases of Web3 and the metaverse. It's the logical conclusion that the human interaction becomes better, and it's like advancing a new level, a new stage in the actual interaction, in virtual interaction that you have with a human. I have tested like VR experiences. Metaverse is a lot about adding this VR like interaction to existing, let's say, social interactions. And I have the experience that I have with VR when I'm talking with a person. It's totally different than the experience that you could have on a chat on a web. This is I think this is very interesting, the Web3 space in the mental health, because with the communities that you are seeing that are forming, I think there is a lot of people that didn't have a place to go to look for help and to find other people to share with. And they are like finding these communities, and they feel like they have a place to be safe, to talk about issues. And you mentioned Conspicuous. So why Conspicuous? Why did you join the project, and what's the idea behind it? What's driving it?
That question comes very brightly behind what you were saying. So there's one important thing there is emotions does not really know what's real and what's not real. So whatever experience we're offering through VR goggles, or through whichever way people are entering the metaverse, or through the Discord channels that the projects are creating, or how we make them feel through LinkedIn, whatever that involves experience and emotions, our system in real life are feeling it the same way. That is pretty much why we connect with movies, for example, or we connect with music, because our emotions will always be real, independent on where are they finding that. And having said that, it's very important that the why I joined Conspicuous and grouped with Ellie to develop this is because we want to fight loneliness and shame. We want to bring a new way of understanding mental health through the metaverse and through this community. But the impact we're really looking for in the long run is that sense expands in real life, that the people that are around us and our community and what we can develop through that will actually make others feel through and learn through that mindset in real life too, even if they're not experiencing that themselves. So as you were saying, there's many people that are finding in the Web3 and the metaverse an option of expressing themselves in some of the ways. And that is also why for us it's so important we have this symbol, which is a balloon heart, and that balloon is meant to be and seen, feel like a safe space, and is meant to declare that all shapes and colors are welcome, which means in whichever figure you want to be here, you are great. And in real life should be the same way. We want within our culture, within the community we're creating, to be good, to do well. And that's the part of why our community is not just like Telegram link everywhere, but it's more like, hey, if we've talked with you and we connect with you, it means that we know that you care about people, even if your daily life or your project is not like wellness tagged, but like you care, welcome. We want to protect that and we want to support that. And it's beautiful to find someone as Ellie that our hearts are tuned in the same long-term purpose. And our purpose is to create a better world. My purpose since 2020 that I actually found a phrase for it is a more empathic world. I've been finding my ways on how to do that. And in Web3, for some reason, but very fortunate reason, I'm being heard. And that's one of the most beautiful effects I've ever felt. And I think it's because we are all in that state of feeling vulnerable. And we're all in the courage moment of jumping into a dream around something that's still very blurry, but we know can be something better. And that state of mind brings us the chance to talk about how to relate with each other in a better way in real life as well. If we can make people find joy and constant growth through mental health concept, we can make them think around that in their real life too, and talk to their friends and family and sons and wife and whatever context about this as well. So wellness is not anymore something that I look for when I'm really going through a bad state only, but it's something that I'm growing and flourishing from constantly while challenges in life come, as they always will be.
That's great.
That's the why.
That's amazing. And you mentioned a very interesting point there, that is how you're being accepted in the Web3 space. And I want to emphasize a little bit that part, because I find it very curious as well. Web3 and decentralization and blockchain, it's all about democratization. So basically you try to take this to as many people as possible and to make it accessible to as many people as possible. I think the mental health Web3 space is helped by that notion a bit, in the sense that everybody from anywhere in the world can join these communities and talk. And in the metaverse, we are creating a new identity. It's like a digital identity, and it's almost like a spiritual representation of yourself. So that's, I think, is a very interesting topic in Web3 communities, and I think it's quite related to mental health, and I think it's great. You told me that you want to create digital communities to generate real change, not only in the metaverse, but you want to generate real changes. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences in that sense? How are digital communities changing our real life right now? What have you seen that has happened, or what personal obstacles have you or anyone overcome by participating in this digital community?
One of the most important things around that question is what you just said. So Yes, for many people, the identity that they create around the avatars and the PFPs and being able to express themselves without actually showing that much of themselves is quite an important message. And that's part of the why I don't use PFP and the why I'm constantly as possible showing myself as I am and telling people if I feel overwhelmed with the space, I'm there to talk about that too, because I feel that, yes, how we represent ourselves and what we do when nobody's watching, where we don't feel that much seen, is our truth and most vulnerable version. And that version of ourselves and how free we should be and happy it means of like how belonging to ourselves first we should feel, that is how we want people to feel in real life, because through that is the way that they will actually generate relationships, work, money, friends, everything around that in a way that they can interact out of that love, even when times come hard. And that is very
Right.
important. We want our communities to feel that way. And one of the biggest challenges I've found, and the why I'm like so much into the purpose side of all of this, it's because as I study positive psychology, I know there's scientific based on how important it is for all human beings to construct step by step a meaningful life. Those communities are huge amount of people interacting out of emotions. Transactions happen out of emotions. And being aware of that can make you create a strategy as companies create culture out of wanting less rotation and wanting people to work their best to achieve companies' goals. This is pretty similar. This is how do we create communities around our long-term purpose, which is the mission, around what do we believe and which type of behaviors do we admit in this community, which are the values. So in the long term, when the launch one of the NFT project happens, when the first event of the metaverse happens, or whatever is happening, that they can keep coming from time to time when something important around the goal is coming through. And I think the great challenge there is because it all started around make money fast, I'm still in the way of finding better house dial down the FOMO and dial up those purposes, dial up the interactions where community feel they have added value. And within Can
Absolutely.
Speak itself, we work and talk around this. So we're non FOMO. We don't expect people to be 24/7 in Telegram answering whatever we're talking about. We want them to go in there and find resources and find conversation and find love and find other like-minded people, but we're always in the it's okay. So for example, on Mondays we have Coffee for the Soul, partnered with Meta Moms as well, and co-hosts that some of them are part of our communities from time to time. And it's every Monday. Why? Because we care that people don't feel like, man, I missed it and I'm not there, and like anxiety, but chill, be peaceful. There'll be another one and
Yeah.
we might talk about this again. It changes a little bit the dynamic on why you want to be close to something, if I'm making sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I feel very represented by what you just said because as I am the community lead in DNAVerse, and I always try to appeal to that non-FOMO way of seeing the collection. This is not a collection that is like going to be here and the next day is not going to be there and you lost it. I want more the sense to create the sense of belonging, the sense of community, the sense that you are here because you are interested in this topic, you're interested in science, you're interested in this new frontier that is opening. And we have a plan for the future. We have a vision for the future. It's not just releasing something because it's cute or because it's art. Nothing. I don't have anything against those type of collections, but what I mean by that is it's not something that you're gonna miss if you miss the drop. This is something that is long term, and I'm always trying to create that kind of community that you're talking about. I'm talking about a community and events. We are planning on doing fitness classes, meditation, nutritional talks, disconnection from computers. Our community will be having all these benefits, and our goal is to ensure that our community members and our holders and everyone that is interested on being part of the community get to know themselves deeper and get to understand themselves deeper, and also get to know other people that has a like interest. What do you think about these activities? Do you think this could be at the same level of real world activities, or better or worse? How do you feel about this?
I feel that I wouldn't say better or worse. I'd say as long as they have the opportunity through the activities to know a little bit about each other and to feel they are sharing more than each one being there, it will bring them together. It would bring them, they feel they are joined in something that makes them feel they belong. And I say this because before coming to Web3 space, I worked in cultural development in startups, and part of something I wanted there, because it was virtual world post-COVID, was making them see each other, and me not necessarily you guys being the protagonists while that is happening, but make them be the protagonists, which means through the activity asking them if they're enjoying it, how they're feeling, making some jokes, sending the attention to some of them as a little spotlight through the activity, so they feel that, giving them icebreakers in the activity beginning or in the closure, so they hear each other's voices. So if it's in real life or if it's virtual, if you give them the chance to interact, not just
Right.
with whom is doing the activity, but with them themselves, and feel a little that spotlight, like I see you and you matter, I think that's what really makes the change on what we want to happen there emotionally wise. I know if it's thousands people is hard, but if from that thousand you give a spot to two or three, and then in another session other two or three, it sends the message that you are being seen as a community, if that makes
That
sense.
you matter, yeah, and you belong to the community. That's a great insight on your part. I want to ask you a little bit about DNAVerse. I guess you have heard about us, and you probably read a bit about us. I know you are in the Discord community. So what do you think about what we are doing?
What I feel about the project itself, and the reason why I entered into the Discord channel, was out of curiosity. So I think you guys are doing a great process on generating the curiosity on why you are different from other projects. I think that's very important. And I really appreciated that. As long as I said, hey, hashtag mental health, you were like, hey, and you just did it right away. That's brilliant. But I believe that's tons of really important data that you will be having there, and I think that's something that like we should all take care about. An
Absolutely.
important message I would construct around it would be how beautiful it is to know how we are seen out of our most essential self, which is our DNA. My DNA has no gender, colors, sizes, shapes, judgments. It's just who am I? And that is special, that is unique, and that is beautiful. And I think, according to my own purpose, is where I could feel that I could be part of something as DNAVerse.
Yeah, and just as you say, this NFT is being created as the very essence of yourself. And what I find very interesting is the ability to genetize anything. I think it would be cool to gift a digital something made of your very essence. So coming back to the interview, and this is the last question because we're running out of time. So how do you think the AI could affect mental health? We are very, the artificial intelligence and our project is very linked because what we do is human verification. So how do you think artificial intelligence improve mental health in the metaverse versus real humans improving mental health in the metaverse?
I think as long as we're taking care of what experiences is that generating, we will take care of which messages are actually programming that human being taking the experience. As I was saying before, because like our emotion and our mind don't really know if it's AI or if it's real, we're feeling through that. And what really makes us learn is how we feel. So I don't know if you heard that very common say of people won't remember what you tell them, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah,
AI is pretty
absolutely.
much the same, or like the logics around that. That's why it's so important to be aware of that, because sometimes I think it's underestimated how people can feel through the experience because it's not real. And also, the more it is developed, the more real it feels. So the
Absolutely.
more our conscious is not aware of where the limit is going. So that could be very brightly used when it comes to education, when it comes to therapy. I've learned a lot about, for example, Ericksonian therapy, and that's around hypnosis pretty much. And hypnosis is the recreation of images in your brain, how you generally imagine them to heal, to progress, to have difficult conversations that in real life are hard to have, and create a safe space that when you're feeling with difficult, very high emotions around something, you can go there, even if it's in your imagination, to dial down those emotions and dial up emotions that make you feel safer. So I'm saying this, bringing that into the now. We have resources through AI and also machine learning that can actually understand how you're feeling and create a process through that, which is amazing, to make that happen in something that is more tangible to us. So I do believe it could take the awareness and the efforts to produce it in a way that we know what are we sending to our emotions and our brain in that process. So I'm always the voice of hope. I am awareness, but I'm hope. I think as long as we're aware of this and we choose that technology for that positive impact, it would be beautiful. At the same time, please be aware.
And will you feel more comfortable talking with an AI than a human?
I think you can't generalize. In my own example, I feel more comfortable with real people. Like not real people, but like in real life interactions. I'm terrible with dating apps and stuff because of that. I'm not very good interacting with systems. But it depends. And coming back to what we said before, there's people finding this space as a safer space to express themselves and talk. So as long as we're helping, if you feel more, as DNAVerse is trying to give virtual and in real life experience, you can ask your community, you can bring them to the conversation who would like healing experiences in real life, who would feel more comfortable digital for some reason that is as respectful and as possible nowadays. So the most important thing, once again, is the purpose on what do we want to do and who can we help with either two options. And I'm very happy that DNAVerse will have both.
Oh, that's great. We don't have a lot of time left. I want to give you a minute to make a shout or something.
I think I'm very happy to have been here. I like to spread the voice, and I hope whoever is going to be part of this episode and listen to it enjoys it, and more than enjoys it, feels hopeful and inspired of using technology for positive impact and being aware that we're all humans at the end of the story to create a more empathic world. And of course, I would love to do the shout out to Ellie for bringing me on board to Conspicuous and being open to create this together, slowly paced, with no FOMO, but for the long run.
Thank you, Daniela. It has been great to have you today in the podcast. Remember to follow Daniela. The networks will be below. And thank you for listening to another podcast. Please follow us on our social networks, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you very much.